All right, Friday, here we go. Algebra 1A. Hope you guys enjoyed part one of the absolute value equations test. We're going to do the same thing probably for the next two tests. We're going to be doing two-step equations in the absolute value bars for this particular unit. Here we go. So find the solution set. Problem number one. The absolute value of 2x minus 3 is equal to 13. Same rules apply. Is this output positive or negative? It's positive, so that means I can split this entire equation into two distinct equations. So I've got 2x minus 3 is allowed to be positive 13, or 2x minus 3 is equal to negative 13, because we have to account for both forwards and backwards. So let's solve these equations one at a time. So I'm going to focus on the right part right now. So I've got 2x minus 3 is equal to 13. I'm going to undo these two layers of x. I'm going to undo the outer layer by adding 3 to both sides. Boom, boom. So I'm left with 2x is equal to 16. And now I'm going to undo that times 2 layer by dividing both sides by 2. And that gets me x is equal to 8. Half credit if you leave it like this, because I got to solve for the other part. I got to account for backwards. Not negative distance, but going backwards. The Fitbit does not care as long as I get a distance of 13. So 2x minus 3 is equal to negative 13. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. That gets me 2x is equal to, what's negative 13 plus 3? So that gets me 2x is equal to negative 10. And now I need to do the last undo step by dividing both sides by 2. So that gets me x is equal to negative 5. So the two ways that I can get a distance of 13 in this problem is if x is equal to negative 5 or x is equal to positive 8. I'm going to plug them in to verify my true statements. Let's start with the 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 minus 3 is 13. The absolute value of 13 is 13. Let's check the other one with negative 5. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Negative 10 minus 3 is negative 13, but the absolute value of negative 13 is in fact 13. It works out. All right, moving on to problem number 2. The absolute value, sorry, I got to clear my throat. There we go. The absolute value of 2n plus 9 is equal to 27. Well, is this problem solvable? Yeah. So I split it up into two equations. So I'm going to get 2n plus 9 is equal to negative 27, or 2n plus 9 is equal to positive 27. So the Fitbit does not care. Now let's solve both sides of the equation. So I've got 2n plus 9 is equal to 27. If I subtract 9 from both sides, that's going to get me 27 minus 9, the 9 plus 9 and minus 9 cancel each other out. 27 minus 9 is in fact 18, leaving me with 2n is equal to 18. How do I undo that layer on n? So I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by 2. And that gets me n is equal to positive 9. The other way to do this, once again, if you leave it only one answer, you get half credit. So I'm going to solve for n on the left side now. Subtract 9 from both sides, and that gets me 2n equals negative 27 minus 9, that'd be negative 36, because I'm at level underground 27. I go down the elevator 9 more levels, I'm underground 36 levels. It's a strange elevator, I know. So 2n is equal to negative 36, and if I divide both sides by 2, I get n equals negative 18. So the two ways that I can get a distance of 27 steps is if I plug in n equals negative 18 or n equals 9. Let's start with the n equals 9 step. 2 times 9 is 18. 18 plus 9 is 27, but the absolute value of 27 is still 27. So that checks out. And then I go 2 times negative 18. 2 times negative 18 is negative 36. The negative 36 plus 9 is negative 27, but the absolute value of negative 27 is still, in fact, 27. All right. Let's go over here. The absolute value of 4x plus 5 is equal to 17. See if you can do this problem independently. Warning, one of the answers is a decimal or an improper fraction. See if you can do this problem independently. Okay. So once again, is this problem solvable? Yeah. I'm going to split this up into two equations. So I get 4x plus 5 is equal to negative 17, or 4x plus 5 is equal to positive 17. Let's start with the right side, since I'm a positive person. So 4x plus 5 is equal to 17. I'm going to undo the layers of x by subtracting 5 from both sides. And that gets me 4x is equal to 12. 4x is equal to 12. I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and that gets me x equals 3. I don't care if you're afraid of decimals. If you put that, you only get half credit. Let's do the other part. 4x plus 5 is equal to negative 17. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So 4x is equal to negative 22. I'm going to undo both sides of the equation by dividing by 4. And if you want to leave it as a decimal, be my guest. So that's going to be negative 22 divided by 4. If 4 goes into 25 times and 2 remainder, that's going to be negative 5.5. If you'd like to leave it as a decimal, you can. But if you'd like to leave it as an improper fraction, please reduce it. Please reduce the fraction. So in the end, it's going to be negative 22 over 4. A negative divided by a positive is still negative. Once again, if you like decimals, be my guest. But remember, I can divide the top and bottom by 2. So if I divide the top and bottom by 2, that's going to be negative 11 halves. So pick one or the other. The fraction, the reduced fraction, or the decimal. Once again, if the decimal ends, that's nice. If the decimal repeats, put a hat on the repeating part. So the two solutions are that x can be equal to 3 or negative 11 halves, negative 5.5. Same thing. All right, number 4. See if you can do this problem independently. The absolute value of 3x minus 12 is equal to 18. All right, use the pause button. Okay, so what do we need to do here? I'm going to split this into two equations. 3x minus 12 is equal to 18. You know what? 3x minus 12 is equal to negative 18. Again, I just want to show you guys it doesn't matter if the negative's on the left or the positive's on the left or whatever, as long as I see both equations. I just wanted to put this intentionally just to show you it doesn't matter. I'm not picky. Oh, you did the negative on the right and the positive on the left. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so let's solve for x. I'm going to add 12 on both sides. So I get 3x is equal to 30. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So then x is equal to 30 over 3, which is positive 10. That is one of the solutions, but I want full credit. Or, remember I've got 3x minus 12 is equal to negative 18. So I'm going to add 12 on both sides, and that gets me 3x is equal to, what's negative 18 plus 12? It's going to be negative 6. 3x equals negative 6. I'm going to undo that layer by dividing both sides by 3. So I get x equals negative 2, or x equals positive 10. Okay. 3 more problems and then we'll call it a day. Come on, paper got stuck. Okay. All right, number 5. The absolute value of 7x minus 2 is equal to negative 16. Go back to the previous test. What happens? Well, I look at the absolute value bars, and it equals a negative output. I don't care. I don't care what's in here. If the absolute value bars are isolated and they equal a negative, that's impossible. Absolute value can never equal a negative. This problem is impossible. X has no solution. So this is a no solution problem. This problem is impossible to solve. See if you can do number 6. Yet again, I have an absolute value and the bars equal a negative. That's impossible. X has no solution. Those problems are back with a vengeance. Okay. Let me put a cap on this marker really quick. Okay. Now look at problem number 7. Is this problem solvable? Yeah, it is. So I'm going to create 2 equations, specifically 5x plus 2 is equal to negative 18, or 5x plus 2 is equal to positive 18. Let's start with the positive side since I'm a positive person. 5x plus 2 is equal to 18, and I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And that gets me 5x equals 16. And now I've got to undo that layer by dividing both sides by 5. And that means x is equal to 16 divided by 5. Well, 5 goes into 15, so therefore it's going to be a decimal. Specifically, it goes in there 3 times with 1 remainder, so that's x equals 3.2, or 3 1/5. All right, moving on. 5x plus 2 is equal to negative 18, so I'm going to do the same old algebra. 5x plus 2 is equal to negative 18. I'm going to subtract both sides of the equation by 2, getting me 5x equals negative 20. And now, if I divide both sides of the equation by 5, so that means x is equal to -4. So looking back, x is equal to -4 or positive 3.2. We're going to be doing more examples with this next week. Remember, we have a new schedule that instead of Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, it's going to be Monday, Thursday, Friday, because they decided that we need a little bit more social time. So they took our Tuesday 11 a.m. to become more social. To I think, don't quote me on this, but I think there's going to be an administrator or a counselor that's going to moderate social Zooms. Anyway, have a great weekend. We will do more math problems like this on Monday.